Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale The Origins Collection figure unboxing and review. Basically, it's their fancy way of saying this is a Marvel Comics version of War Machine. Even though this line has been hit and miss, I'm not going to deny it, I'm still pretty excited to get him out here. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have pay in 4 and a loyalty program. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, bellissimo, well done Hot Toys, this is some beautiful box art. We've got War Machine front and center, yes, that's the actual figure. The top part of the box is also done in a metallic finish, whereas the bottom is more of a satin finish. Got the Marvel Comics logo, which adds a much needed pop of color. Just like the little LED laser targeting thing on the top of his head there. The red works so well because this packaging is so monotone. It's got this silver finish to it, so when the light hits it, it pops. War Machine logo on the side, by the way. Then down below, it's kind of gunmetal, with some more red panel line work. And up the top, you can't miss it, the Marvel comic book symbol. On the back of the box, comic book strips featuring War Machine once again. A War Machine logo plus warnings and legal info. There's also one little symbol to note, this symbol right here for PIA or PIA Studio. For those of you who don't know, this figure, as well as the other two figures in the line, they have all been collabs with PIA Studio. And that's where this whole clear obsession comes from, PIA. I don't know why Hot Toys didn't think, oh, we can make our own versions of comic book style Iron Man suits. They said, no, we couldn't possibly do it without PIA, we have to go with that clear aesthetic. Turns out that I don't really think that was the right choice. The whole clear thing is the only thing that people really seem to not like about these figures. Well, maybe not the only thing, but it's one of the major ones. On the side of the box, you have some very War Machine looking details sculpted in. These almost look like his missile pods, and a Marvel comic book symbol. I don't want to make it sound like I'm blaming PIA for everything. How dare you, PIA? Why did you do this to us? No, PIA does some amazing work. They make some beautiful Swarovski crystal little Iron Man figures, and I think that's the look they were going for, maybe? It just doesn't translate as well with the clear plastic in 1/6 scale. And Hot Toys, they played their part. They, after all, made this thing and they signed off on the design. It seems like whenever they collab with an artist, think the Venomized Iron Man or the holographic Mark IV or the artist mix Venom and Carnage figures, they just end up being these cursed things that nobody actually wants. There are always just a couple of little hang-ups that drive collectors crazy. And for me, for this line, it's the clear plastic. Nevertheless, enough ranting on the clear plastic for now. We'll come back to it later, I'm sure. First in-hand impressions, this is a big chunky boy, exactly what I was hoping for. What we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first, which is done in the usual hexagonal style. Up top, War Machine with this brushed finish on the metallic chrome surface. The edges are glossy, whereas the middle is a little bit more textured and grippy. But the question is, Hot Toys, where is the nameplate? Bringing in one of the Iron Man display bases from the very same line, mind you. There is a nameplate, so this is just confusing. There should definitely be one. Up the top, a bendable flight pole and a spring-loaded waist clamp. These aren't really accessories, they're more so just part of his suit, if you will. And we will pop them on him so when you actually see him fully assembled, he will be fully assembled, with both weapons. The Gatling gun, you can rotate the barrel and you can rotate this back piece. Whereas for his missile pod thing, cannon piece, you can extend this piece forward and back. And lastly, hands. For some reason, no blast effects, and that to me is crazy. This is a comic book line. They could have gone all out with the blast effects. They didn't. We just get some weapons that are part of his suit and some hands. These ones have articulated fingers at multiple different joints and a ball joint at the base of the thumb. Peep those knuckle dusters. And these ones, they're repulsor blasting hands. Both sets do have translucent repulsor sections, so the light will pass through if you decide to pop the batteries in his forearms. What we are going to do now, though, is get War Machine himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. This guy is sensational. The proportions, the build, the bulk, the colors, the LEDs, especially that red one on the side of the head, the Gatling gun, the other cannon thing, all of it works together marvelously. It's a beauty. The only issue? The fucking clear plastic. Hot Toys, why? You knew the one issue that people had with the original Iron Man wasn't the build, wasn't the proportions, wasn't the paint, the metallic red, it was stunning. It was the clear plastic, yet knowing that, you still went hell for leather and you used the clear plastic once again. With War Machine, it makes even less sense than it did with Iron Man. It's just on the abs section and the chest plate. It's an eyesore and it just straight up looks stupid. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Rhodey's helmet. It's so bulky, it's so boxy, but that works perfectly for the comic book style War Machine look that they were going for. You've got this straight line for the chin, you've got these defined cheeks, and even some defined eyebrows. It makes it look like he's frowning. He's also got this frowning looking mouth with the wash in the crevices to bring out the sculpt work. Then the faceplate itself is done in this bright, shiny, lush silver. The targeting computer is currently on, and it's only on one side. On the other side, it's just one of those round comic book style Iron Man ears. The neck has some sculpted ribbing, so it looks like a gasket of some kind. And on the top of the helmet, this is a nice hidden away little detail. There's even some sculpt work underneath this top panel. I do currently have him with his Gatling gun and his rectangle of doom facing forward. If you wanted to stow them, you can. You simply slide them back and they will sit back here and in position. The only challenging part is the backpack does like to detach on you, so just hold it down as you're moving these pieces and sliding them back on the armatures. Now the backpack itself can detach, of course, I just said it does fall off on you, and that means if you don't want to display him with the backpack on, this is an option. For me, I'm always going with the backpack. This is War Machine. How could you not have this on him? They just add so much presence. You have to have them on and on full display. You can rotate the barrel of the Gatling gun and the back piece, and for the rectangle, you can extend it out, and that reveals some hidden sculpt work painted in that same bright silver, just like all of the rest of the silver parts on War Machine. This guy is a unit, and he's an asymmetrical design, something that I didn't really spot until just now. I'm so sorry. We've got this circular part on one of the shoulder pads, yet on the other it's not there. It still has these bulky raised edges, however. You've also got some honeycomb detail for the arc reactor that is turned on, a different rail on one side of the chest plate compared to the other, and two completely different gauntlets. This one side has an extending cannon, whereas this one, it doesn't extend, it's just fixed in position. My favorite detail? He's wearing knuckle dusters. War Machine in this comic book style with all of this kind of musculature and knuckle dusters? Dude means business. I've avoided it long enough, we have to discuss it. It's the clear plastic, it is back, and unfortunately it looks just as terrible as ever. Hot Toys, this is such a stupid idea. Why did you do the clear plastic? And it's only on the chest portion this time. I guess that's a good thing. If you wanted to repaint it, you don't have to repaint as much, you only have to do the chest panel. If they had done this in metallic silver, or if they'd done it in gunmetal even, I think this guy would have looked so much better. As it stands, because it's clear plastic and when the light hits it, it passes straight the frick through, he looks very skinny, and that's not what you want for War Machine. Everything else is so bulky. He's got biceps, he's got huge shoulder pads, massive gauntlets, knuckle dusters, which we've already mentioned. Then he just thins out far too much for the abs. The hip skirts do fill him out. We do have these little boxes, one that's bigger on one side and smaller on the other, plus some various little pouches and panels. And I don't know what it is about all this ribbed sculpt work. Something about the ribbing just screams iconic, classic-looking Iron Man and War Machine. Got some more sculpt work on the musculature for the bright silver upper thighs, and some big knee pads, and some very chonky boots. Then more sculpted ribbing, one set of sculpted lines on the top of these floating panels, and more sculpted in ribbed lines for the boots themselves. On the underside, some tread. For a quick side-by-side comparison, on the left, War Machine from the Origins comic book collection, and on the right, Iron Man, also from the Origins collection. A figure that when he released, some people spoke about. Not anymore. Nobody seems to care about this clear plastic Iron Man, and I was the exact same. He was a very, very divisive figure. Now that I have War Machine, these two, they are so much greater than the sum of their parts. I'm starting to forget all about the clear plastic. It's still an issue and I still do not like it. I would prefer if they did away with the clear plastic. It's the one thing, the one stain on an otherwise really, really good figure, and that goes for both of them. Speaking of both of them, they are using the exact same body, so they do stand at the same height. Next up, the trio. War Machine on the left, Stealth Iron Man in the middle, and normal Iron Man on the right. These three look great together. I have no problem whatsoever putting all of these suits in my display alongside my other 1/6 scale classic Marvel figures. Did someone say classic? I sure did. Here we have War Machine, Iron Man, Sideshow Captain America, who is unfortunately just too short, and Sideshow Thor. Even though this is not a complete 1/6 scale classic Avengers display, I reckon it's a good start. Going over War Machine's articulation, starting off with the head sculpt. It's on an articulated neck with a ball joint down the bottom, and up the top, another ball joint, but on a hinge. Combined, looking forward to there, going back to there, swivel and pivot side to side. The shoulder pads are articulated. Make sure you move them. The last thing you'll want is this shoulder pad colliding with the clear plastic. It will get scratched up very quickly. You can also extend the arm out for maximum range of motion. Going up to there, going forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going just past 90. Then for the wrist peg, it's a ball joint. The torso is an interesting one. It's multi-segmented. You can crunch forward and back, however when you do crunch back, just make sure to close up the gaps by pushing all these ab plates back and in position. You can also get swivel and pivot side to side. Before you get to moving the legs, some light housekeeping is required. Move that panel out the way and slide the hip skirts forward. Then you can drop the legs down there on ratchets to once again increase your range of motion. The legs will go forward to there and they'll go out to there. You also have a swivel at the upper thigh. There is a double bend at the knee, and when you do bend it, these panels actually move down just to cover up the gaps, and it makes it feel even more techy. The feet do have these floating panels, don't worry about them, they'll get out of your way. They will go forward and back, swivel, to get some angle tilt. And lastly, toe articulation. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing was designed to help you, I think. It doesn't, it just gets in your way. This back panel, it's removable, so rather than having to take off this whole backpack to activate the light switch, you can literally just take off this middle panel and push the button. Great! It doesn't work that way, however, because the light switch is recessed and the crevice isn't deep enough. You can't fit your finger inside to push the light switch. At least I can't. Maybe I've just got fat fingers. The second annoying thing? Once again, clear plastic. Hot Toys, I thought you learnt your lesson. That Stealth Iron Man, that thing just is a work of art. Going with the straight up translucent plastic, there's an optical illusion going on. When the light hits this guy, your eyes just don't really see the clear plastic. All you see is the sculpt work underneath, so he looks way too skinny. He's not skinny, he's actually relatively bulky. It's just that clear plastic that throws everything off. The third annoying thing, because Iron Man has swap out gauntlets and this guy is essentially Iron Man, just with some War Machine bits tacked on, these gauntlet pieces, they're removable and they fall off constantly when it comes to posing, at least on this side. This connection is far too loose. The first cool thing, all of the little moving parts and pieces on the weapons. The Gatling gun can rotate, the back section can move around, you can also extend out this piece, and you can extend out the cannons on the forearm. The second cool thing, if you want to, you can remove some of these clear plastic pieces. They're not glued on. The only issue is that now that you've taken them off, he looks even skinnier. All of the bulk added by these clear plastic pieces, which already wasn't a ton, would then be gone. This is a bit of a weird one. It almost seems like there was a second battery-operated mode for his head sculpt, yet they decided to ditch it at the last second. When you push down on the light switch just ever so slightly, his eyes turn on. Then if you push it down further, his targeting system comes on. If only this was a multi-level switch so you could just have his eyes on or just the targeting system, or both. But you can't, it's all or nothing. wrapping up on Hot Toys Marvel Comics The Origins Collection, War Machine. This is a really solid figure, and at the end of this, I'm pretty happy. Except for one little annoying thing. Just one thing. And you all know what it is. It's the clear plastic. Hot Toys, why did you do this? Y'all knew. You knew that people didn't like the clear plastic, yet you did not care. You doubled down because we're working with Pia, baby, and Pia says clear plastic. That is what we need to do. I do not know why they doubled down on the clear plastic. They did, and it looks just as terrible, if not even more terrible, than the original version with the clear plastic, the Comic Origins Iron Man. That one had more of it, so it was a more cohesive look. This figure doesn't. It's just on the chest, and it stands out like a sore thumb. I am hoping that a third-party company makes replacement panels. As it stands, I don't really like looking at the chest panel. It's kinda nasty. Also, where are the effect pieces? This is a comic book suit. No repulsor blasting effects, no smoke trails for the barrels, no blast effects for the rectangle rocket thing, and no blast effects for the Gatling gun either. It's pretty slim pickings when it comes to accessories with this guy, and for that matter, the rest of the figures in the line. This line, it was DOA. As soon as you showed that clear plastic and you didn't fix it, collectors checked out, and most of the time, if they don't buy the first figure in the line, they sure as shit aren't buying the second, and they're not buying the third either. I don't think we're going to get any more figures in this line, and Hot Toys, they're going to take the wrong lesson from this. They're going to say, well, we tried it. I guess collectors just don't like comic book figures. We love comic book characters and comic book designs. We need more in 1/6 scale. Just not like this, never like this. No more clear plastic Hot Toys, just never again. Unless you're doing it tastefully like the stealth suit. That is the best interpretation that I have seen for this clear plastic. Just transparent? Nuh-uh. Now I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have Pay in 4 and a loyalty program. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.